Now, we've talked a lot on this programme, even before coronavirus happened, about finding someone to turn to talk to when life just gets on top of you for whatever reason. Well, a relatively new service that was born during lockdown aims to provide men with advice when they need help or just a friendly ear. Just a chat can make all the difference. One of the founders of JourneyMEN, and we mentioned JourneyMEN a few times on Make a Difference, which is based in Birkenhead, is Phil Roberts, who joins us now. Hi, Phil.
Good morning. Thanks for having me this morning.
You're welcome, mate. What is it about us fellas that sometimes, we don't feel the need to... Well, we feel the need to talk, but we just struggle doing it?
Yeah, us blokes, sometimes we like to keep things to ourselves and then everything comes to a head. But what we found out during this COVID was literally when you start talking to men, a lot comes out once you get that break through that trust barrier and confidence and all that, and then a lot does come out. And us fellas do bottle a lot up, and you're not talking weeks or months. Sometimes you're talking years.
Yeah, exactly.
Worth of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. And do you think it's been conditioning through generations that you're big boys don't cry. You're a man, stiff upper lip. Is there an element of that to it? Do you think?
Oh, definitely. I've heard loads of people say, "Come on, just man up." And you know what? That has been happening for years, but. You know what, us fellas can only take so much, and sometimes it doesn't take that much to push us over the edge and to get us to crisis point or not functioning properly. As I say, it's happening, and this COVID has brought everything to the forefront. All the isolation, the insecurity about jobs and stuff like that. It hasn't helped at all.
You had a regular job with the police for, 17 or so years, and then you left to form this service. I mean, due to all that's happened, have you met men who've had to leave their jobs in different circumstances? How have you been able to help them? Because we know about the furlough scheme, but, there's going to be a hell of a lot of people who are going to struggle through the coming months. And sometimes the thought of something is often worse than the actuality. But that doesn't help when it starts to get on top of you.
No, and us men, sometimes we're not always the breadwinner anymore and all that. But us fellas, we're quite proud about, we're going to be the one who's functioning properly and hold down a job. But a lot of our men are struggling, not only in the personal lives, in the professional lives as well. And it shows, and people are going off with stress, anxiety, depression, and the feeling a little bit worthless sometimes, and some fellas have just walked out on the job as well, which has added a lot more onto the dark thoughts what are going through the head, and that's sometimes what pushes our men to taking their own lives or even thinking about it. A lot of our men that we've got at JourneyMEN, and it's extremely a high amount. So you're talking 50% off. We're on 107 men now, and 50% have either thought about it or have actually acted on it.
How do you start the conversation, though? What's the icebreaker there? Is it, do you fancy a pint, or did you see the footy, or what do you think about Liverpool winning the league? What's the in? How do you get in to start the conversation?
You know what? With us, I do a lot of the initial referrals. So when the men come through to me, I speak to them, and I speak to them like one-to-one. It's not clinical. You can have a joke, you can talk about the football, you can talk about politics, but once you're talking, a lot comes out. We always discuss the likes of suicide and suicidal feelings.
Yeah.
You've got to say, have you made a plan to kill yourself? And that is what we talk about. We've got to be upfront and direct, and it's either yes or no. If it is yes, you talk about it straight away, and there's no shame or anything attached to that. We talk about it openly, honestly.
So there's no beating about the bush, pussyfooting around. You just get straight to the point and say, look, have you made this plan? And how often did the word yes come back to you?
I was shocked how many times our men said yes. And as I say, it's running at 50% off our men for the time being. So we've had a hell of a lot of yeses to that. So literally now, we discuss that. Every man is different to the one before and the one after. And we get that support package that's just made for them, that's tailored for them.
Well, we're going to talk to Stuart in a second, but just before I let you go, what may seem really insignificant to one person can be a huge boulder to somebody else. There's no one size fits all with this, is there?
No, like today, we've got our walk and talk, and we get our men out walking with my staff and my counsellor, my drug and alcohol worker, trying to get one man to come to that. It's, he's been isolated for near enough a year. For him to step over the threshold into the public outside, it's hard for him to even function, even thinking that. You can have a very good conversation with him, but once you touch on, come and meet us at Hamilton Square, that's it. He cannot do that. So, whereas we've got a load of men today made up to be walking around in the sunshine, having a laugh and a drink, we're going for a cup of tea afterwards as well.
Yeah.
They're really looking forward to that. We've got men out there who cannot do that.
Well, I'm sure, with baby steps, they will get there. We'd like to think that they would. Let's bring Stuart in. Hi, Stu. You okay, mate?
Good morning. How are you?
Well, how are you? More to the point. How's JourneyMEN helped you?
Well, to give you a little bit of background, I was diagnosed with complex PTSD, 2 years ago. Then in March, I had 2 major brain traumas, went through emergency surgery just as COVID came in. And as Phil said, you feel very isolated. A lot of the support services, quite rightly, were put on hold. And I felt I had nobody to talk to, nobody who understood what I was going through. And like a lot of the other people in JourneyMEN, I did contemplate, ending it all.
Did you make a plan, as Phil said? Did you make a plan?
Yes.
Well, you're talking to me, so thankfully the plan never came to fruition. What stopped you going through with that? What stopped you putting that plan in place?
My family, and also the support I've had from JourneyMEN. I must admit, when I was first informed about JourneyMEN, I was quite sceptical. And Phil and I had a very long conversation over the phone. And the one thing that really impressed me at the time was how enthusiastic and what a deep understanding of the issues he had. And I eventually agreed to go to their walk and talk.
What was that like doing the walk and talk? Because for some people, for some men, the idea of, I'm going to sit down in a room with a load of people I don't know and everybody's going to say I'm so-and-so from so-and-so. Nah, I'll give it a miss. That's not for everybody. But the walk and talk helped you?
It definitely helped me. I met a counsellor virtually immediately. I was put in contact with a guy called Liam, who works for JourneyMEN, who had gone through a space and the brain operation as I had, and completely understood where he was coming from. So that was a massive, massive amount of support. And I've been going since April, and it's literally changed my life.
Do you look forward to it now?
Yes. Yes. It's given me a completely different outlook on life, whereas beforehand I couldn't see light at the end of the tunnel. Now I'm concentrating completely on the positives and got a much better understanding of what I can give, to society. So it's a big difference.
Do you love yourself again?
I think love's maybe a little bit of a strong term.
Do you like yourself? Do you like yourself again?
Do I respect myself? Yes.
Respect's probably a better word, yeah. Where do you think you'd be? Do you think you'd still be here without JourneyMEN, Stuart?
I honestly don't know. I think there'd be a chance I wouldn't be.
What would you say to, I don't know how old you are, but looking at the statistics, it tends to be kind of fellas, 40s, 50s that tend to struggle a little bit. But what would you say to a man who would be listening to this now and thinking, that's me, that fella on the radio, that is me? What would you say to that person?
Reach out. It's very easy to get into, as Phil said, into your own little bubble and isolate yourself from everything and everybody. And that's one of the worst things you can do.
Have you made new friends, Stu? Have you made friends?
Yes. And I've made friends who understand and are in similar positions that I'm in. So we support each other.
Well, listen, we've got the news coming on in 30 seconds, but it's a brave thing to do to come on the radio at 8 o'clock in the morning and talk about something that's deeply personal. But it will have helped other people. But thanks for being here. Thanks for respecting yourself again. And Phil, where can people find out more? Thanks, Stu, by the way. Where can we find out more?
Thank you.
Phil?
Have a look on our JourneyMEN website. The telephone number is 792-9159. And you can get us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, email. So go via the website. It's JourneyMEN CIC. And give us a ring. We're there 7 days a week. Give us a ring and you can see what we can do.
Great stuff. Thanks very much indeed. Much appreciated. Phil Robertson, Stuart there.
On the BBC Sounds app, on your smart speaker,
play BBC Radio Merseyside,
and on your radio.
The sound of Liverpool is
BBC Radio Merseyside.
It's 8 o'clock. I'm Phil Cooper. It's been confirmed Britain is officially in